Item 1 is called order. I'd like to go around the room and introduce ourselves, starting with Mr. Pluis.
Justin Pluis, District 3.
Jeff Penscover, District 4 Alderman.
Matt Zackermeyer.
Dennis Pollock, Board 6.
Patrick Delaney, District 7.
Ryan Hartman, Human Resources.
Todd Eckes, Fire Chief.
Okay, item 2 is HR update. Mr. Hartman.
So really the big item for October and November for the HR update was quite a success, I would say, for the first time with health insurance. Between the finance department and human resources, we were able to do open enrollment online this year at 100%. So 187 employees we were able to get converted over from doing handwritten paper copies to be able to input their data into Munis or ESS, our payroll platform and software. So going forward, that information will stay in the system, and it will make it that much easier for the employees to re-enroll or decline or whatever they want to opt for coverages. So Jill, Sarah, and Aaron from between the two departments really worked hard with that implementation, and it was a very good success. And to get all 187 on there successfully within the deadline that they had posted, I think it was a 3-week enrollment period. I just want to take a minute to thank them for getting that done. So, thank you.
Any questions or comments on the HR update? Moving on to item 3. Consider a renewal of the on-site fitness and physical therapy services agreement with Advanced Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine SC. Mr. Hartman.
Thank you again. This was talked about briefly at the very first committee of the whole going through the budget process. This was a 2-year contract. The conversation at that time really gave the outline of what Advanced Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine does. I won't go through those details again. It is just time for a renewal of the contract, which would then expire as of 12/31/2024. So looking to have approval to renew the contract and services of Advanced Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine.
Would you like to go over the costs and kind of what they, just a brief, what they do and
Absolutely.
how they benefit our citizens?
Sure. So Advanced Physical Therapy, we've partnered with them 2 years ago. They come on site twice a week, more if necessary or if requested. Currently, we pay $120 per hour. Anything over 20 hours would be $108 an hour. They are mobile to the point where they do time at City Hall. They will then go to the fire station. They will go to the police department. They will stop at the wastewater treatment plant if requested, and they will also stop at the city garage. What they do is work to potentially reduce our health insurance claims and keeping our work comp claims down. So if somebody is maybe goes to Sear because they sit at their desk and after an hour and a half their elbow goes numb or something kinks up, they can go see Lindsay. And actually, if after this meeting tonight, if you were to just step outside this exit here, you will see we've hung up some exercising boards on the wall. And if employees want, she will take them through like stretching exercises for the legs, calves, hamstrings, neck, shoulder areas. So, and there's pamphlets out there. So it's really a preventative medicine, or preventative, not a medicine, preventative measure to hopefully keep costs down and in line. So, and I know the fire department, police department's not here, but if anybody from fire or former fire would like to speak to it, I think they can speak to the benefits of Tracy Toffner, and Lindsay Hansen is who our on-site representative is.
Would you like me to talk about it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, everything Ryan said is spot on. They actually can reduce the time our firefighters are down if they have an injury or a strain or a sprain. But I think what really is a benefit of them is when we have somebody that has a serious injury and we make that phone call to them, there's times you can wait 2 weeks to go see a specialist. They get us into a specialist within 48 to 72 hours. A lot of times in that 48 to 72, they can already have scheduled an MRI if that needs to be done, or have surgery already scheduled, where the path without them is you might wait a week to get in to see somebody. Then they'll say, well, you need an MRI, and you wait 2 to 4 weeks to get scheduled for an MRI, and then to read the MRI, and then to send you to a specialist. So they shorten that time frame that those people are off, saves a lot of money for the city, that they're back to work quicker, and it's better for the employee to be back to work and making, money for their family. So I think that's a huge benefit we get with them.
They also cover functional screen tests. Does this include the fire department and police department?
I'm sorry, the what?
Functional screen test, don't they do that?
Yeah, we're working in those contracts that the job fitness testing, function of duty testing. And when we first started with them, they actually came over and did some with the garage as well.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, very well worthwhile. To this point, it's been a success compared to our previous contracted party that we helped us to move forward to choose advanced physical therapy.
Mr. Pluis.
I can speak to Advanced Physical Therapy's success as well. The city of Wausau contracts them for the Wausau Fire Department. We unfortunately had a firefighter that was severely injured when a ladder crushed both of his legs. And that firefighter is now returned to work just as of this week. So, and that was because of the physical therapy in-house that Advanced Therapy was able to do and get that individual back to work. So not only did it save the city of Wausau money as far as the work comp claim goes, but it also was probably the difference between this individual returning back to duty and not returning back to duty, full duty.
Mr. Pollock.
Thank you. I have just one question. You made a comment earlier that people that have a desk job and that, where they, get up and so forth. But are those people, are they also involved with this program then?
Any employee is eligible
Okay,
to come see her.
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
But,
yep, good question. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Any more questions or comments by anyone? No. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Delaney, second by Pluis. Any more discussion on this item? We will take it to vote. Those in favor, please respond in the affirmative.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
That is 3 yeses. Moving on to item 4, discuss and consider for approval continuing the current City Hall building hours of Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. or noon through December 31st, 2025. Mr. Hartman.
Thank you. So, yes, originally this was brought because the original expiration or to bring back period would have been in September of 2024. So it was brought back in August, and Alderperson Pluis suggested we run it through the end of the year and bring it to the November meeting. That being said, we are at this meeting today. What I have found out is there was one complaint that was made, to my understanding, and that was made in May of 2023 about the hours changing. Otherwise, we have not been informed of any other, why are you closed on Fridays? That was brought forth, like I said, in May 5th, 2023. We ran it through October 28th of 2023. That was the first expiration. We then ran it through September of 2024. And I go back to, we talked about making it permanent at one point, and Patrick had suggested we just bring it back annually to review it. And so now I brought this back again today to review potentially at the end of next year of 2025. Obviously, I talked to our employees here at City Hall. no surprise, they still remain in favor of the adapted hours. Everybody gets their 40 hours of work each week in. If not, they are allowed or opt to stay and work beyond Fridays, opt beyond 12 o'clock on Fridays. I know there are days, I think Patrick and I were talking about this, sometimes it's nice to have the peace and quiet from 12 until 2. Unfortunately, now during hunting season, hopefully you don't find me here at that time, but in the spring and summer, sometimes at 12 o'clock and it's very quiet, there's a lot of catch-up work that can be done after that 12 o'clock hour. So the traffic is very, very low on Friday afternoons. That was the original item that prompted Mayor Blazer at that time to look into doing this. We really see it as a costless benefit to the employees. A little bit of allowing to flex the schedule. The department heads are in charge of their schedule, so it is not just willy-nilly people coming and going. Again, in October of 2023, it was approved or motioned and approved 8-0, September 19th of 2023. So I guess at this point, I'm just asking to renew that or make that revision through 2025.
I have just one question. What do you do, how do the employees get their 40 hours? I know there's something about working through their noon hours, or do they work?
Sure. So they can,
Whatever.
our city hall, that's a great question, Dennis. Our city hall hours are 8 to 4:30. Many employees will work 7:30 to 5. Okay, so right there, that would be, oh boy, 9.5. And it helps, it's really nice for certain employees. Maybe there's a grouping of employees who have small kids, right? So on Wednesdays, it's dance night. So maybe they need to leave at 4:30, but they'll extend their days Monday, Tuesday. Did I use Wednesday as the example? They'll extend their days Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and work a regular 8 hours on Friday. Other times there will be, maybe an employee has a club they belong to outside of work, and they'll need to leave at 4:30 for that day, but then they might work 7:30 to 5 or 8 to 5:30. As long as they hit their 40 hours during the week and our offices stay open, those windows stay open at all times, 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, and 8 to noon on Fridays, I think it's been a success.
Well, then one other quick question. Are there many phone calls that come in from the public on Friday afternoon? I mean,
No, that's a great question. We looked at that back in 2022. We've gone to a new phone system now, and I was asking Tyler how we could track that. Unfortunately, at this point, we can't track it after 12 o'clock or during that time, because what happens if a call comes in and then it gets transferred. So if they were to hit the queue and say, I'm pressing number 2 to the police department, and it goes to number 2 to the police department, for example, and then somebody picks it up at PD and they need to transfer them to, I don't know, the sergeant. That one phone call is going to register as 4 phone calls, or 3, or whatever my example was. So as far as just calls coming in, I can tell you the last time we looked, this would have been February. This would be looking at video of people coming into the doors. As of February 10th, we had 3 people come in after 12 o'clock.
now you mentioned the police department. The secretaries in there, are they also working the extra hours? Or?
Yep, they can work those hours if
Yeah.
they run it by their administrative lieutenant and it works out for them.
Okay, I was just,
Yeah, nope, fair question.
I guess I knew some of the answers. I just,
Nope,
but-
that's good to clarify. I
let
appreciate
the
it.
public hear this too.
Sure,
Okay,
you.
thank you.
you bet.
Mr. Pluis.
So I have not received any complaints about City Hall being closed after noon on Friday. I fully support the city's permanent transition to a Monday through Thursday work schedule with half days on Friday. I feel like this adjustment would not only enhance employee work-life balance, but also the potential to improve productivity and overall morale and minimize burnout. So embracing the schedule could be a win-win for both the city and the employees that work here.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments concerning this item?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue with these hours for another year.
I'll second that. Until December 31st
Okay.
of 2025. We have a motion and a second. Any other?
You want to have any discussion on,
Go ahead, we can discuss.
do we want to revisit this year after year, or we've revisited since 2020, it's been in play. Do we need to continue to, what did you say was 2020,
2023.
2023?
Yep. So going on a year and a half, 2 years.
Year and a half. Is it something we want to just make permanent?
I think it's good to bring it back just so that everybody knows that what's going on. And I just think it's a good item to revisit. And if we ever do have a problem, it's like, oh yeah, well, we can just change it back to normal hours. I don't foresee it being a problem. I'm very much for this, and I would think as long as we have accountability with our employees, that everything would be fine. So, any other discussion on this? See no other discussion, I'm going to move to vote. Those in favor, please respond in the affirmative.
Aye.
Yes, we have 3 affirmative votes. Moving on to item 5. Discuss and consider for approval a request from Fire Chief Eckes for a recommended stipend additional compensation of $5,300 annually for a battalion chief who is designated as Deputy Fire Chief. I'll start with Mr. Hartman first.
So, excuse me, as you know, this was brought forward, I think, a month, maybe 2 months ago. I believe it was maybe last month. Regardless, and we do have Sue on Zoom if needed. But the deputy chief has been chosen. So the language item is now off the table. That was the other part of the agenda item at the last meeting. And so what's in front of us today is if the Human Resources Committee would be in favor of providing a stipend or additional compensation of $5,300 to the battalion chief who is designated as the deputy fire chief. So the language item at this point is out of the equation.
Mr. Eckes, do you have anything to add to this?
Just to explain how we got to that number that is the entry designation of or allocation of money for the deputy chief. No matter how you look at it, from what position that comes, that's that extra money that the deputy chief receives for that position. I would suggest, I'm just making a suggestion here, that it not be a one-time stipend, but it be separated into the 26 checks. That would be, so the 5,300 separated by 26 checks, whatever that would be, and then it'd be just like it's been paid out in the past, basically on each check or whatever. So the other thing to consider is, because this is weighted that extra month, is would it be retroactive from when they were appointed, I guess. So those are the 2 things I would ask you could consider on it.
Sorry. Before we go any further, I just have something to add. Madeline had sent me a question that she would like me to ask. It says the HR 4 pay positions for non-union positions, which deputy chief is, policy states that an employee being assigned to a newly created classification, which this is, will have a job description created and appropriate pay grade determined. Providing a stipend for a position is not a pay grade. we will be violating our own HR policy to do so unless someone can explain what policies allow us to do that.
Well, I guess maybe stipend isn't a correct term for it, but that's I don't know, the amount allocation for the deputy chief. A stipend would be something I think that would get paid one time. You know, a $5,300 payout would be a stipend, and that's really not what we're asking here. I think maybe that was probably a wrong term that I used originally. What we're really looking for is that payment or that bump in pay or raise or whatever for being a deputy chief, and then it'd be across those 26 checks. So,
Patrick? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think, and so the deputy chief position is there and has always been there. And it is, what we learned is that it is the fire chief's ability to choose who the deputy chief is. And then it goes to PFC and they make that confirmation. So the deputy chief position and job description is there. I guess I would say that there's not a job description for a deputy chief slash battalion chief slash deputy chief, but I don't know if there's a division chief slash deputy chief either, because you have your division chiefs and then that normally or in the past has been the designated deputy chief. I guess, can I put Sue on if she has anything more to add on it? 'Cause
That sounds great.
okay. Sue, are you able to hear us?
I mean, this is really considered an assignment of additional duties. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. This is really considered an assignment of additional duties, much the same as when you had the division chiefs. One of them was appointed or assigned to be deputy chief. So the problem was back when Chief Young, I'm not sure how long ago it was, when he came up with the level of the two division chiefs as a step up above the battalion chiefs, he envisioned that he wanted his deputy chief to be one of those division chiefs. So at the time that the restructuring was done with the division chiefs, the job descriptions for the division chiefs and also the evaluation of those positions on the pay grade were such that there was a division chief pay rate and then a division chief who also was the deputy chief pay rate. Okay, so so now we have the situation where our two division chiefs have recently left, and I think the battalion or the two division chiefs have, approximately. I mean, it's months of experience, I guess. I think it's maybe 8 months and maybe 3 months or something of experience. And the deputy chief, and there was a it's my understanding there was a description of what the additional duties that the deputy chief what the deputy chief did in addition to the division chief duties. So there always has been a description of those additional duties, but there was not a attendant pay in a situation where a non-division chief was the deputy chief. So as I said, excuse me, so what Chief Eckes wanted to do was, because the division chiefs were not qualified to be deputy chief, that he appoint a battalion chief as the deputy chief. And as I laid out for the Police and Fire Commission, I believe based on the statute and the case law, that he can do that. That Chief Eckes has total discretion in who he assigns or appoints as his deputy chief. So he went ahead and did that. But when we look at, okay, what is that additional pay for the battalion chief? It's not specifically, or actually it's not explicit in what that might be. We could look at the division chief and the division chief deputy chief and say, oh, that difference is a little over $5,000. So that's the number that's been forwarded to you of that this additional assignment of a battalion chief as a deputy chief would be an annualized amount of $5,300. So I don't think this is a situation where this is a totally new position or needs to be evaluated or anything like that. I think this is consistent with what the pay rate or the pay schedule. Basically, it's just this unique situation where he wanted to promote a battalion chief because of the lack of experience and qualifications of the division chief at the time. So, and the PFC can then approve his appointment, which they did, which is their discretion. You don't get involved in that. But the pay, though, you do get involved in, and that's why it's come to you now to determine what that should be, because we felt that it should be explicit what that amount is.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on this? Mr. Pluis.
So at the last HR meeting where this was discussed, I gave my arguments why I didn't feel that it was necessarily true that the other two division chiefs weren't qualified. I do feel that they were qualified. They do have, 16, 17 years with the Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department. So, but that argument's not what's before us today. The fact of the matter is that this individual is the deputy chief and doing the duties of the deputy chief, and in those additional duties, there should be additional compensation. So that's all I want to say.
Patrick?
Mr. Pollock.
Thank you. My question would be, the two people that had this job before, did they get a bonus? I'll call it a bonus, but did they get the same amount, or so this is no different than what they were getting?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
both people that were in that position before got a raise. Myself would have been one. Jason Joling, who was the deputy chief at the time, have that raise from their level of pay to the deputy chief's level of pay. And just to explain where I got that from, so entry-level deputy chief compensation, if you look at our wage scale that is in place right now, is $5,304 as a entry level. At 91%, it's $5,678 on that wage scale, and at 97%, it's $6,053. So the $5,300 in this instance, being a brand new deputy chief, would be the entry level wage scale for that position, and that's why we're asking for that. So.
Any other questions or comments concerning this item? I will add that I am for this. I think that it is appropriate. Obviously, there's questions, but I would like to move this forward to council so that we can pull it out and maybe discuss it at council. All right? I'm going to make a motion that we approve the item as presented.
I'll second.
A motion by Delaney, second by Pluis. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, we are going to go to vote. Those in favor, please respond in the affirmative.
Aye.
Yes. We have 3 affirmative votes on this. Moving on to item 6, which is the committee may vote to go into closed session under section 19.85, para 1, para E, Wisconsin statutes, which reads, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. In closed session, the committee will discuss negotiating negotiation and bargaining strategy regarding labor negotiations with WRPPA. And I believe that we are going to adjourn in closed session. I'll make a motion that we go into closed session. Motion by Delaney, second by Pollock. Any discussion at all? Okay, gonna go to vote. Those in favor, please answer in the affirmative.
Aye.
Yes, we have 3 affirmative votes on that. We are now in closed session.